You are live. Well, it says I'm live, but anyways, what is up, guys? So I'm a little bit early, but I wanted to jump in here and give everybody time to jump in and say hi. And I want to talk about our guest today. We have a guest today on today's live stream, and that's what I'm going to do. So, guys, on Thursday from here on out, it's going to be live streams from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to run it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. Like it could happen that we go over 2 hours, but I'm going to try to keep it like an hour and a half. And sometimes we'll have guests on our podcast, and sometimes not. Sometimes it'll just be me, shooting the breeze with you guys, and then watching some videos. Like I want to do a lot of analysis videos, reaction videos. And okay, Red Chucks just messaged me. Yeah, he'll be here in 5. So getting back to Red Chucks, he has a YouTube channel. It's called Red Chucks. Red Chucks obviously isn't his real name, right? But there you go. Hey Ben, what's up? Okay, so Ben's in, and what was I saying again? So he has his own YouTube channel. You guys should definitely check it out. This guy, really impressive. He's like four times world champion in breaking. So breaking what? Like breaking concrete. Absolutely insane. And on top of that, he's strong as F. Like if you guys check him out on YouTube and on IG, like he's like deadlifting like 1,000 pounds, 700 pounds, doing it with like one hand and stuff like that. He's really, really strong dude. And he's the founder also of his relentless style of it's a system of fighting that he founded. So it's going to be really, really interesting to talk about that. So a couple of subjects that we're going to touch on, me and Jordan. Jordan is his real name. Red Chucks is his artist name, right? Kind of like me. People know me as OG now, and I'm like, but my name is Hong, so you guys can call me Hong, OG, doesn't matter. It's interchangeable. So a couple of things we're going to talk about is body conditioning, because who better than to learn it from a modern day dude that's world champion in breaking, right? And so I want to get his take on that, get some information, and some guidance on that for you guys, as well as myself. And we're going to talk about as well how to get really big and strong for martial arts. All this is for martial arts, right? It's not like for anything else, because you guys all know all I care about is martial arts. But you want to be fit, so OG fitness, and for martial arts. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Guys, something happened in the past few days, absolutely insane. And I talked to Red Chucks about this, and like, yeah, we're gonna talk about self-defense and mindset, because yeah, man, it's we're gonna talk about that anyway. But now we got something that just happened in Australia, in Brisbane. And some dude, like, I'm not going to show the video here. Like Andrea actually sent it to me. Andrea, that I did a podcast with, and he said that to me, and it was pretty graphic. And the guy got killed. It was like a knife fight. Like it was two groups of guys going at it. One of them pulled a knife. One of them kept on coming towards him, and then the guy was moving back, and he was like swinging at him a little bit. Anyways, we're gonna get into that. But one guy basically died. Got stabbed in the throat and bled out like nothing, man. So yeah, we're going to talk about that, because I think it's important for you guys to understand the right mindset for self-defense, and also like things to do and not do, because I find, man, guys, there's so much information out there where like you can get hurt, man, doing some of this stuff. Taking some of these advices that from what do you call it? From on YouTube and stuff like that regarding self-defense. Like some of it might be legit, but some of them not. Like I'm not an expert on that, but anyways, we're gonna talk about that. And what else here? And yeah, we're just gonna see where it goes, man. You know me. You guys know that I tend to freestyle and all. So you should be here in about 5 minutes. Oh, I just saw on IG, Boycal and the Duke, they're gonna fight bare knuckle. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. I don't know. I like them both. You know, Boy Cow's a legend. So is Leduc. Leduc does left way. So for those of you guys who don't know what left way is, think of Muay Thai, but bare knuckle and with headbutts. Yeah, pretty intense. So he's like the champ in left way, and Boy Cow is just like a legend in Muay Thai. And I think there was some beef going on or some kind of drama because they were supposed to fight at one point, but then the Duke was saying that Boy Cow kind of priced himself out of the fight. You know, so for those of you guys who don't know what that means, it's that when you say, "Oh yeah, I'll fight you, but I'll fight you for like 10 million," right? You say like some crazy amount that no promoter is going to pay, and so that way you kind of price yourself out of the fight. So you end up like it's impossible. It's never going to happen. Anyways, oh, I had some hair there. Oh, somebody's in the private chat. Let me take a look here. Oh, Ben's got to go. Cool. Ooh, there you go. Perfect. Other than that, let's see here. Oh, let me run some of my banners here. Look at that. So my social media guy was telling me, okay, run that. Oh, that's my dog, by the way. That's Hero. So he'll always be in and out of the room, right, while we're doing this. And oh yeah, so he told me to change it to black because last time I did this, it was what do you call it? It was yellow. It was yellow. Yeah. So now it's black. Yeah, I like it black. It's pretty cool. Makes me look less goofy. You know, we already got Bruce Lee in yellow in the back. So, oh guys, so what happened today? I was at kata practice, and I show up. I show up late. I'm not warmed up. So we started doing our katas for judo, and so I throw the guy Ipanseo, and what happens is I pulled something in my back, my upper back, like where the ribs are in the back. So I pulled the muscle there. So then I'm like, okay, that's not good. So now I continue doing, and oh wait, somebody's okay. Sorry, I thought that was Red Chucks. So then, yeah, I continued doing the kata. I forgot what technique it was, but then I pulled my hamstring. I feel it. I'm like, oh, okay, right away. And then I continue again, and I pull something in my bicep. So three pulls just because I wasn't warmed up. So that's the thing. Oh, let me just check something for you guys. Copy the clipboard. Perfect. So I'm trying to get Red Chucks in. He's trying to log in, but he's not able to. So hopefully, let me solve this problem because we're officially timed now. Facebook. Oh, log in with YouTube. Three guys. Awesome, man. What is up, guys? I'm gonna go check the comments here. Okay, I'm having some issues getting Red Chucks in. Okay, let me see here. Let me try to figure this out a second. Email, Gmail, Messenger. Okay. Send this link to your guests. You may also want to share the instructions for guests. Instructions. Who has time to read this? You can have 60 people. Anybody have any idea how to get somebody onto? Wait, I got an idea. Instagram, like a record or a video chat. Can we do through Instagram, like record a video chat? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Let me try to figure this out so I can get Red Chucks on. Sorry about this, guys. Trying to see what's going on here. All right, let's see. Can we do it through Instagram? Gotcha. I think. Let's see here. Well, can't sign in from the screen to this app's not closed. You can't sign in from this screen because it doesn't comply with Google's secure browser. What? Okay. I'm gonna get Red Chucks on the phone here. Anyways, there's only Ben right now, so. Jordan. Hey, Hey, how's it going? Yeah, hey. So, usually when you click on that link that I sent you, then you have like the option of logging in either by Facebook or YouTube, and you clicked on YouTube, and it's still giving you this stupid error like authorization. Uh, I don't think it matters, man. But I think it would be better if you log in. Like if I had to choose, I guess your main one. Because I know you have two channels. I remember like hearing that in one of your one of your videos. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking about, right? I'm like, if we don't do it this way, what other way? Hmm. Okay, okay. Right, 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 right. I get it. I get it. Okay, but like, am I able to do that through Instagram on desktop? Because I don't seem to see the option here. I think it only works on your phone, eh? Hmm? Yeah, yeah. Well, do you want to try like logging in with your YouTube email? Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so a little bit of complication there regarding logging in. So it's gonna happen. We might have to do it like on another platform. Like maybe we go on Instagram Live and do it, and after that, it won't be live though. But I'll just keep this going for you guys, and maybe I'll talk. You'll just see me talk to him from my phone, maybe. Ah, hey, Keanu Reeves, what's up? Yeah. So when's what's that thing again? When's John Wick 4 coming out? Is it 4 or 3 now? I think Parabellum was 3, right? It was 3 John Wicks, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, just give me a second here. Let me just answer my social media guy. J. Il va essayer. Sorry, guys, I'm speaking French because I can speak French, and my social media guy is French. Il va essayer encore. Sinon, il a-tu un autre option? Oui, me parler. Sorry, I'm like reading what I'm typing in French for you guys. Free lessons. Yo. Hmm. Hmm. Well, you would use like the link that I sent you. Do you want me to send it again? Okay, yeah. Let me send it to you right now. Yeah, sorry for all this hassle, man. I didn't know it was gonna be such a pain in the butt. Like, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Well, okay, because I'm talking to my social media guy at the same time. He's like, "Oh, you could just create an account," but it's starting to get a bit, it's starting to get complicated. I mean, no, I just feel like I'm wasting your time. I'm really like, I apologize for that, man. Like, um, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And me too. You know, like we've been chatting for a little bit too. You know, on IG. It's not like if it this is not like it's first contact and like sure like if we can promote ourselves and you know like get a bigger audience, it's cool and all that. And that's part of like you know the business of YouTube, so to speak. But I mean, you know, you don't want to be talking to people you don't like. You know, okay, like you know, like really like no, I ain't doing that. So yeah, yeah. So like I consider you a friend too. You know, of course, over time we'll get to know each other more and all that, and you know, like we'll be even better friends, hopefully. And but yeah, yeah, I'm not stressed about it or anything like that. You know, it's not like oh, I'm losing money because you're not on the screen. Like I'm not making any money at all yet. So okay, so let me see here. Let me just forward this to this fool. Oh, there it is. Okay. Just gonna let my guy know here. Oh yeah, yeah, maybe that's it. You know, sometimes like it's just as simple as that, right? Are you doing this like all off your phone, or are you trying to get it on your computer? So that's what it is. Okay, okay. Oh, there you go. Wait. No, no. Do you see me? Nope, nope. Hmm. No, no, I don't see you in the in on the screen. But you see yourself? There must be some kind of button where you could press to like join. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, is there maybe you're somewhere here, but nope, don't. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I just sent you another one, so I don't know if it's like a fresh link every time, maybe. So we'll yeah, because my social media guys like, yeah, on the cell it probably is not going to be as like user friendly as if, oh, there you are. All right. Wait, let me just stay on the line. Stay on the line. Let me. Okay. Wait, we're gonna do it like this. There you go. We made it.
Here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely. Can you turn yourself up a little bit?
Shit, barely. Wait, I'm supposed to be talking through this thing here in front of my face.
Oh, let's see.
Let me just check my mic. Okay. Let me check the setting here. Yeah, right. Camera, audio, blah blah blah. No, sorry.
Oh, 1 second.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm wondering if I put you through my Bluetooth, I wonder if that will give feedback.
Yeah, give it a shot.
All right, give me one moment.
You got an iPhone or you got like a regular, like a Samsung or whatever?
Um, right now I got just an Android.
Okay. Yeah, because on my end, everything
Oh, there we
seems to
go.
be.
There we go. I got it. I just had to switch from my normal phone to my speakerphone. Now I can hear much better.
All right, awesome. Now we're rocking and rolling. Yeah. So for the guys who are listening, we're on the we're on our cell phones on IG trying to figure this shit out. Because we're us us men like like to smash things, and we're good at fighting and doing manly stuff. And technology is kind of it's
Yeah.
a process for us. Because we just get impatient and just smash the crap out of everything or whatever. So yeah, hey, thanks for taking time out of your day to to come on and shoot the breeze, man, and chop it up.
Yeah,
I'm
no worries.
excited. So I already introduced you a little bit before you came on. So like let's just dive in because I know like you only have an hour, so I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Um, yeah. Hey, so body conditioning, like
Yeah.
how and why should martial artists be conditioning the way you do it? Because I look at you and I'm like, this guy is like the one to talk to because you have like I believe you have a modern approach to it. Whereas
Yeah.
sometimes like you'll watch some videos on YouTube and it's like they're talking about like iron hand, iron body, iron this, or like different methods from like ancient China and stuff like that. And I'm not too convinced, but then when I see you going about it, I'm like,
Yeah, so the biggest thing, well, first off, the reason, like, I always tell martial arts, like, you have different types of martial arts. You got your kind of your practical martial artist, and then you got your mystic chi, whatever type of martial artist that believes in the supernatural, all that type of stuff. And the bottom line is the truth lies somewhere in between, right? The supernatural to most people is really just a heightened version of a human, right? If I told somebody, hey, guess what? I can pick up 700 pounds, right? I tell that to most people, they're like, what? Like that, it doesn't compute for most people because most people aren't into strongman, aren't into that type of training. So to some people, that could be considered mysticism, right? So going back into the conditioning and the strength training and all of that and why it's so important, because at the end of the day, right, if you take fighting for what it is and you take the practicality of it and everything else, right, when two guys are tired, I don't care how skilled you are, it turns into a slugfest oftentimes. And you see it at the highest level, one of the reasons I like Nate Diaz so much as a fighter, if you actually watch that guy and how many times he slapped people in the face instead of finishing the fight, right? Instead of finishing the fight, that guy's record would be phenomenal if he actually tried to finish the fight. And why? Because he's conditioned, right? So going back to like how I approach my conditioning, for me, strength is super important, but also bones, right? Like bone density. So the older methods of training, they still are applicable today, but we know so much more about nutrition than we used to. So we know what vitamins, what minerals we should be taking for bone density, stuff like that, and we can break it down to a scientific, 1 + 1 = 2 method. So what I like to do is combine traditional styles of conditioning with a modern approach of nutrition to back it. Because it's like anything. You build a sweet car, right? It's got the dopest engine, the freaking sickest cherried inside, whatever, blah, 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 interior, exterior, all of that stuff, right? Guess what? No gas, no go. Right? It's the same thing. You go to the gym, you bust your ass in the gym, you do as much hard work in the gym, you're there every freaking day. Guess what? You don't eat, you're not going to grow. You're not going to recover. So same thing with your bones. Guys are doing these iron palm techniques and blah, 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 and they think they have some mystic chi bull crud. What you need to be doing is eating the proper diet specific for building bones. So what I do myself, I love bone marrow. I eat tons of bone marrow. If I can get boiled bones, eating the cartilage, the internal bone, that's super important. Collagen peptides, taking care of your connective tissue. And I mean, you've seen a lot of my lifts. Like I do isometric holds, right? Because the bone, it's hollow, but there's a circular rim around the marrow, right? So a lot of people, when they condition, they're smacking just one side of the bone, right? They're conditioning the front of the bone. Well, what about the back of the bone? What about the side of the bone? What about the, both sides of it? What about the inner bone? So in order to really condition a bone, weightlifting, heavy isometric holds, even if it's a partial lift, for instance, say you lift up 800 pounds, gravity doesn't care if it's 2 inches or 4 inches. Your skeletal muscle structure doesn't care if it's 2 inches or 4 inches. Your bones don't care if it's 2 inches or 4 inches. All that weight is on your skeletal structure, on your ligaments, on your tendons, on your body, right? So if you combined heavy isometric holds with bare knuckle conditioning, bare knuckle bag work, and a proper diet, that is the ideal way of building strength. But so many people, they focus on one or the other and they miss the whole concept of, you want to build bones, it's the same as building muscle. There's a proper diet that you need to follow. I got my skeleton scan and I found out my skeleton's 3 pounds heavier than the highest end of like the ratio. It's like 2.5 to 3.5 kilograms. So 3.5 kilograms is roughly like 7.5 pounds, I believe. So mine weighs in at almost 11 pounds. So there's something to be said about that. I just tell people proof is in the pudding. It's simple as that. Proof is in the pudding. I've seen Thai fighters kick through baseball bats. Me, myself, I was like, all right, that's cool. I kick through 2x4s, like structural 2x4s, So I really like to test and push my limits to the max. But I tell people, with all the training that you do, if your diet, your sleep, your everything else isn't on point, no gas, no go. Same as a car, no gas, no go. So that's my thoughts on how your body should be conditioned and why you should do it. Because, dude, at the end of the day, especially in a fight, a drag out fight, what's going to happen? It's going to be who's the toughest wins, like all that other stuff. Dude, guys will get sloppy. And it's just like, who can go more? Who's got more heart? You kick a dude over and over in the leg, you're bashing shins with them and you're conditioned to take the blow and he's not. I mean, you can even punch somebody's guards so hard. There's been boxers who would attack guards and break arms, try to drop the guy's arms down. Why? Because when his arms are down, he can't defend himself. Same thing, you break a guy's leg, he can't fight anymore. You break his arm, he can't fight anymore. You can literally end fights just by having bones that are more conditioned than the other guy.
Yeah. Like I got this friend of mine, and he was doing like some traditional kung fu, and in his style, I forgot what was the exact name, but he was conditioning a lot. Like he was doing a lot of body conditioning in that art, and then he went over to Taekwondo, or he was doing it at the same time, and then he went and did a Taekwondo competition, and the guy was like kicking his leg or whatever, and then he decided to check it at one point, and the guy literally broke his leg.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just like stood there, and then he was winning a lot of his competitions, his matches, just because he was more conditioned, just because he was checking the legs or checking whatever, and then guys would literally break their own legs or arms or whatever, like off this guy's body.
Yeah.
And so it's there's something to be said about that. Like I didn't believe in that too much for a little while until I met my buddy, and then after that I realized that, man, like bone density and body conditioning, it's a real thing,
Yeah, totally. And two, there's a limit to it. It's just like overtraining. So many people, if you're focusing on good, but your body needs time to heal too, right? If you constantly are microfracturing your bones and not allowing them to heal, you're going to cause damage. It's the same if you tear your muscles and then you keep tearing your muscles, what's going to happen? You're not going to grow. You need time to recover. And going back to like conditioning, you think about like, if I were to ask you right now, hey, what are the most effective striking styles? Name the top 3 for you right now.
Effective striking styles, man. I would say like for you mean for self-defense, for
just all around combat. What would you say they were?
I'd say Muay Thai, man, because because you're using more than just your hands, right? Like if you're using because if you break your hands in a fight. Then you have your elbows. Elbows are pretty hard as well. Then you have your knees. Then you have the clinch. And then if you're conditioned, I mean, your shins are basically baseball bats as well. So I think in terms of striking art, that would be like, I think maybe the more complete one.
Yeah. So for me, I study all types of striking arts. I've looked at everything from Lethwei, Kyokushin karate, Muay Thai, boxing. If you look at all the best striking styles, like the striking styles that are the most feared, guess what? Every single one of them does conditioning, even boxing. Now, boxing, I'm not talking about conditioning of the hands because they wear bigger gloves and it's totally different. They're very wrapped. They're very protected. But the conditioning of the body, the way those guys spar, how tough they have to be to take those blows, right? Same thing. If you look at Muay Thai, same type of thing. Kyokushin karate, where all they do is try to drop each other with body shots. Anyone, right? Anyone can get knocked out. That's a known fact. Anyone can get knocked out. But to be able to drop a man by breaking his ribs, that's a totally different skill set. And that is, in my opinion, you get knocked out. I don't know if you've been knocked out. I've been knocked out. You wake up and you're like, oh, what happened? Somebody punches you in your liver, breaks your ribs, breaks your leg. You're conscious the whole time. You're like, oh, that really sucks. Like, I hate that. So I always tell people, do you want to put the fear of God into somebody? Become conditioned. Drill them in the leg a couple of times. Punch them in the body. And then let them hit you and you walk through it like a tank. Look at Road Tang, right? Road Tang from 1FC. Look at how he fights. He just walks into people. He's like, all right, what's your worst? And they psychologically, they're like, dude, I cannot mess with this guy. He's too tough. He's too conditioned. You know what I'm saying? So,
but Rotang, like the funny thing about him is that he actually eats shot in the face, and even in the chin. Like, I'm not sure how he does that, man, because you think it's because he's some kind of freak of nature or he's been conditioning for a while, because you know how they say you can't train a chin, but so this guy's getting cracked and.
Well, here's the thing. The whole train a chin, right? You can't train a chin. That's bullcrap too. Let me ask you this. How do we talk? How do we chew?
Yeah.
What do we use? We have muscles, right? We have muscles here. Your neck, your trapezius, right? Somebody says you have a glass chin. Maybe you can't take a hit. That might be one thing. Maybe it's the shock knocking you out, but you absolutely can condition not your brain, but your head for taking it. If you build up big trap muscles, right? I mean, that's one thing I focus on is developing my traps and my neck. One of the reasons that is, and I even train my jaw. I use you can use they got tons of products, you could use to train your jaw. One of the easiest ones is a towel hang and doing curls with, a towel in your mouth. But think about that. You're building your jaw muscle. You're building your neck muscle. Those are stabilization muscles. The same way you have stabilization muscles that keep your spine from shattering when you're deadlifting crazy amounts of weight, or your arms from shattering when you're punching through stuff, or your legs from shattering from kicking stuff. what supports bones? Muscles, right? So
Mhm.
muscles are kind of like an exoskeleton. The stronger your muscles are on the exterior, and even size, like having a little bit of size, it's not a bad thing. Too much size, yeah, it can be detrimental for your cardiovascular, how fast you move, but having enough size, like having a bigger bicep, when I cover up like this, right? That extra muscle mass on my arm right here, that's more shield. That's more shield to
Mhm.
guard my head, right? If I have extra muscle mass on my torso, what is that? That's more shield around my rib cage. So having a little bit of mass and then having the strength to support it. When I tuck my chin and I raise my shoulders, it's like a triangle, right? From my shoulders to my neck, because everything's trained here. And
Mhm.
that's another thing. You got to train every part of your body. People are like, "Oh, well, why do you train your neck?" Your neck literally attaches your brain to your cerebral cortex and sends all the central nervous system information to the rest of your body. Why wouldn't you train your neck? It's like one of the most important things that you could be training in your body.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like I always understood that having a strong neck is beneficial. It
Yeah,
allows you to brace harder, for a shot, and so you have less chances of like getting your brain rattled and all that. And of course,
exactly.
I realized at one point that the traps are involved there too. So you got to train your neck, your traps. But then recently, I realized like the jaw is important too. So you got to do something where like you have that you're biting down on a towel, lifting a weight, or just really
Yeah.
working those muscles around there. And but now that you explain it this way, it even makes more sense. It makes me even more more motivated to actually train
Yeah.
this way to condition.
And two, like we talked about, like a physique, like I
Mhm.
don't care what anyone says. So many untrained people, like if you see a bodybuilder, right? A bodybuilder that just lifts weights and is big and muscular, right?
With a
And you
scrawny neck,
Huh?
right? Is
Yeah,
that what
he has
you're gonna say?
scrawny neck, but if you ask your average person,
Mhm.
hey, would you mess with that bodybuilder? Most of them would say no, simply off the fact they're intimidated by their look. So when I see a guy that has forearms the size of my arms and then has a neck thicker thicker than his head, and he's got these giant traps. Typically, fighters have tinier chests, thicker core, and massive legs. Like I've noticed, a proper fighter build. If I see that guy, I'm like, that guy right there can grab me, punch me, and can take a hit. You instantly can tell a fighting physique versus a non-fighting physique. But going back to people being intimidated by bodybuilders, having a physique plays a psychological war in the fight that you're going to take place. If I'm against arena, you see a big guy, like you don't ever want to underestimate somebody, but you look across the ring, you see Francis Ngannou, right? What do you Wow, that's a 265-pound muscle man. That's an animal. He's looks like he could rip my arms off. That you're going into that fight. No, Mike Tyson, same thing. Mike Tyson, the way he looked at people, your physical presence, the way you look, can ultimately affect how well you do in combat just sheerly by how you look. And it doesn't matter if you're going up against trained fighter or not, because even trained fighters get scared.
Yeah, yeah, because like they're humans too, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
we all feel the same thing. We all feel pain. We all bleed. So I mean, they're all subject to that, and some of them have more control over it than others, and so on, and they have experience and all that. But no, you're right about that. That makes sense, man. And like the funny thing is, there's a reason why like I stopped putting an emphasis on bench pressing a lot, because honestly, I don't need my chest to be bigger. It actually has gotten smaller over time,
Yeah.
but what's gotten bigger is my neck, my shoulders, my upper back, my legs. Like the muscles that are highly functional for combat. Whereas
Yes.
a big chest might actually get in my way, and
Yeah.
and it takes up like it also like I don't want the chest to be so big that it messes with my posture as well, because then you get
Yes.
tight shoulders and all that. So like it's not that I don't actually work my chest. Like my focus is really on my shoulders, my traps, my neck, my arms, my
Yeah.
grip, my core. Like the chest, I'm not doing multiple sets and doing flies and all that for it, because I like it the way it is now. I like it small,
Yeah.
compact, and everything else. Like I want to look like a gorilla. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's what, like, so for me, like having a little bit of chest is okay, like, but the way I build my chest
Mhm,
again is very much so, I always say train sport specific, right? So
mhm.
like doing a fly compared to doing a bench press, a fly simulates the motion of a hook punch almost, right?
Okay.
So I'd rather do flies than bench press because when I strike, right, I'm not coming back here and then throwing my punch. If I'm doing anything, my punch is coming from here and then coming out really quick, right? So if I'm doing like that,
snapping inwards, like bam.
Yeah, I'm just bam, right, really fast. So I want short range explosive power. I would rather push 600 pounds on bench press for 4 inches at my lockout point than push 300 pounds full rep. And I can do both. And the reason being, my 1-inch punch or my close range strikes can knock a man out. A jab, I've jabbed people so hard, I've rocked them just with my forward jab because I've developed short-term close range power. And that goes back to how you train, right? Like when I'm doing clinches, right? For instance, when you clinch, you bring your forearms in, right? To hold onto the dude's neck and chop off the blood flow of his carotid arteries, right? And then you throw your knees, your elbows, blah, blah, blah. So me crushing a plate in between my 2 hands and pressing in and out like this, what's that simulate? It's the same as shaking somebody right in the clinch. So I'll do those motions. They build my chest, but they build my chest for grabbing somebody and shaking them back and forth, right? Because I'm going through that motion of squeezing my hands together, pushing out and in, right? So it's like holding somebody, pulling them in and out for those knees. So that's why I say I'm training my chest, but I'm training my chest sports specific for combat. So many people go and they're like, oh, well, I hear being stronger makes you a better fighter. Right? No. Guess what? Being a better swimmer is not going to make you a better runner. So being a power lifter will not necessarily make you a better fighter. If you're gonna train to fight, do moves that you're going to use in a fight or moves that are similar to simulating a movement you'll perform in a fight.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you don't necessarily, so that's why we see, I see you a lot on, on IG, on YouTube, where you're doing a lot of partials. You're doing heavy ass partials, which is like, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
But I noticed that like sometimes in the comments, people say stuff and they're like, oh, you're not going, how come you're not doing full range and stuff like that? And you've addressed that. So now I understand more in depth, like what you're trying to do.
Yeah, like the other day, for instance, right? And there's jiu-jitsu guys that go to my gym, okay? And I did 1,000 pounds on a rack pull, but I did it with my bare hands, okay? My bare hands, no belt, okay? And people were like, you only lifted that like 2 inches, bro. I'm like, do you understand? First off, I know you couldn't lift it 2 inches. I know you couldn't. Anyone that said that would ever say that to me in gym, go pick it up then, tough guy. If you think it's an ego lift, go pick it up then. If it's so easy and it has no purpose, because they've never felt that type of pressure on their body. Like I said, the weight doesn't care if it's 2 inches or if it's 4 inches. As soon as it's off the ground and gravity takes place, all that weight is compressing on your whole entire body, right? So your skeletal muscle, imagine the central nervous system and how hard it has to fire to recruit all those muscles in such a short distance, right? And then the best part about it, I went back to saying I didn't use straps. My grip strength, if I grab a hold of somebody, and I've tested jiu-jitsu guys, people don't realize what it means to have world-class grip strength. Good luck when I grab you and I take you to the ground of you getting away from me. I'm just going to literally hold you and bash you with my hands until you don't get up. Like it is, watch Khabib fight. Khabib was not a complex grappler. No, you know what Khabib did? He grabbed you like a bear, wrestled you to the side, held you until you were tired with the simplest moves. He didn't have to do anything complex. You got tired. He put you on the ground and then smash. That's all he did. Smash, right? That was his thing. I smash you. That was it. There's nothing complex about it. People want to make fighting complex. Sure, you could have super awesome moves. Tenacity, ferocity, relentlessness, that's going to make you a winner. Being just more freaking savage than the other guy. Like, bottom line.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, man. Like I remember my my first judo coach, my first competition coach, which I got to go see tomorrow. He was telling me, like, okay, once you get to a certain level in judo, you got your basics down and all that. Now, the only thing, what's going to determine who's going to win is the stronger guy. That's it. And why is that so? Because like in modern judo now, you can't grab the legs and all that. And, with the rule set, So what it is that they focus a lot on the gripping aspect of it. So the one who gets the dominant grips is going to win. Now,
Yeah.
so if you have a really strong grip, and of course you have to have your tactics in there to get those grips. But once you get your grips, if you could hold a guy like this, like you got his you got the high grip, so like the collar or like over here there, and you bend him like this, and then you have his sleeve and you keep it down like this. And if you just hold like this and the guy can't move, I mean, you
He's
win.
gonna eventually get tired. That's what I always tell people. It's like,
and if he gets tired and you don't, he's like wiggling, and you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. And you just like, you just hold them, you're moving around, and then you wait for the right time, and then you decide to go. So the stronger guy is the one who's actually going to win.
yeah, so much in grappling, it's more important. Like, I'm not saying to just negate technique, but strength is a technique. Like, think about the way you lift. I'm sure you've done deadlifts, right? There's technique involved, right? It's the mechanics of motion. The same with a hip toss, right? Getting the person's body like right under your hip and then pivoting them perfectly, having their body as close to your center of mass, all that, right? So strength is the same thing. If your technique is great, but you do not have the stamina to perform your technique, right? You don't have the stamina and you don't have the strength to perform your technique. Great. You have awesome technique, bro. I'm literally just going to hold you. You're going to get so tired you can't use your techniques. Now what? I've literally negated your whole entire game plan just by being physically superior than you. That's all you have to do. Like, just hold them. Just literally hold them and squeeze them. And like, oh, you're tired now? Now I'm going to pummel you. And all your I can't lift my arm anymore. I can't stand up anymore because I'm too tired. And then you're just getting wailed on by some gorilla of a man, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, people don't understand, right? Like, when somebody outmatches you, like strength wise, like you really feel like, oh shit, this guy, he's a couple of levels up. I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's intimidating. It breaks your spirit. It's like,
oh, super. Yeah.
Oh man, this guy, this I can't do anything. I'm helpless, So whatever it is technique that you had, but because this guy is so much stronger than you, you pretty much know you're dead,
Yeah. Well, and to even going back to lack of technique, like, remember we were talking about in striking, like sometimes it gets sloppy, becomes this big old dog fight and just sloppy. Like, then your strength is gonna if you're using good technique, but then your technique fails, your strength's going to come into play to make up for your loss of technique, if that makes sense. Like, you can still knock someone out with a sloppy, strong punch. Street fighters do it all the time, right? These looping wild hooks or these lunge. Like, if you watch Francis Ngannou's earlier fights, that guy's technique is some of the worst striking I've seen. I'm saying that because when he connects, literally all of his weight is in front of his punch. It's not connecting with a pure kinetic chain. He's gotten much better now, but look at some of his recent fights. He was wide open when he'd throw those strikes, but he knew if he connected, it didn't matter. He knew that. Everyone else knew that. So yeah, I could say, oh, that's bad technique, but in reality, is it really bad technique if you're knocking people down? Bad techniques are the ones that don't work, not the ones that work. So I don't care what it looks like. As long as it works and you go to the ground and I don't, cool with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Like, strength, it's like you said, right? Strength is a skill. And if you have so much strength behind what you're doing, I mean, you could crush through like somebody's, like perfect
defenses. Yeah.
And like, people get intimidated too. And like you said, like, if you hit so hard and on top of that, if you're conditioned, you're going to smash through the guy's guard. The guy's going to be blocking like this, blocking like that. Like, you break his form because you kicked it so hard. The guy blocks it like this. The next thing you know, it's broken. I mean, it's game over.
Yeah.
It just like that, So,
and that's the beauty of it. Like, there's people, they have this idea like there's these perfect techniques. There's not. A jab is not a perfect technique because people are like, oh, that'd never work in a fight, bro. It's like, so because there's a defense for a jab, that would never work in a fight either. Like, for every move, there's a defense to that move. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes to strength and things like that, that's a very hard move to defend if it's just raw kinetic energy versus raw kinetic energy. So it's the same thing. Like, the only way to combat strength and technique is also having strength and technique.
Yeah, you know what? Because everything changes when you're throwing full speed, full power. Everything changes. People don't realize this, but it's like, yeah, I would do this, I would do that. I got him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the problem is when the guy is going that fast and you know there's like a lot of power, it like you don't have time to react, man. You're just thinking, oh shit, if I get cracked, I'm dead. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? You're gonna shell up or you're gonna try and really get the hell out of the way. You're not gonna do nothing fancy. Like under that type of pressure, you just want to get the hell out of there. That's what you're doing. You're not trying to like bob and weave and slip and like
Yeah.
and then just like I've seen that happen, and sometimes like when you get hit with a shot, even if you block it, but if it was a really strong shot and actually hurt you even through your guard,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden like you don't know what the hell to do anymore. Like your plan that you had in your head, you didn't even get cracked like clean. You just blocked it and you felt it, and the whole plan, like everything just goes out the window.
Yeah.
That
And
happened to me a couple of times, like sparring with big dudes. So like when people tell me, oh, like size doesn't matter, oh, this is something like, okay, like I want to preface this by saying I'm the biggest Bruce Lee fan ever, guys.
oh,
Like you see it in the back there.
yeah.
I grew up with this guy. It's the whole reason I started martial arts, yada yada yada, and all that. But as I got older and I started practicing more martial arts and sparring and being exposed to different styles, different guys of different sizes too, because I don't just spar guys who. Sometimes you got to spar with what you got, and sometimes if all you got is big dudes, well, guess what? You're fighting big dudes. So there was a video. Was it a video or something that I posted in regards to Michael Jai White versus Bruce Lee? I made a video about that because there was a lot of beef going on. Michael Jai White said on a podcast or something like, yeah, Bruce Lee, I'd be able to whoop him. He got so much hate for that. And then he apologized afterwards. Like, listen, he's my hero too. But guys, you guys have to understand physics, blah, 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 blah. So I made a video about that. And I was saying, well, who would win? And I said, well, Michael Jai White would win. And then somebody watched that video recently. Like, this is an old video, but somebody watched it and posted, no, but Bruce Lee had speed and power, and he's a street fighter. And I'm like, guys.
Here's what I always say. Like Bruce Lee, his speed was undeniably fast, right? Okay, that's great. But distance wise, he wasn't a tall man. So even if you are faster than another guy, but the other guy has more reach, he still has the ability to hit his target first. Why? Because you have to close more distance. So speed becomes negated by distance. Like if you have 20 miles to travel and you're moving at 20 miles per hour, you're gonna get there in an hour, right? But the distance, if the distance increases and like to 40 miles, it's going to take you 2 hours. So for Bruce Lee, being as small as he was, he had to travel more distance. So his speed had to be great. He probably would be awesome up close, sure. But still against a guy like Michael J. Dude, guys over 100 pounds more than him. He's got 7 black belts. From what I've heard, I've never seen him fight, but it's again going back to athleticism. If Michael J. White wanted to hurt someone, there's no doubt in my mind that guy could stink and mess someone up. He's got timing, he's got the athleticism behind him. He also knows some jiu-jitsu. So even if you only knew jiu-jitsu and that's all you knew with his athleticism, say you didn't even know any of his taekwondo, kyokushin, whatever else he's got black belts in, he still could choke you out. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So like that being said, like for because people, same thing. They're like, oh, he's an actor. Guess what? A man is a man is a man is a man. I don't care if you're an actor. Dude, I've seen freaking guys with tons of training get smoked. It's not that hard. People can die. Chaos theory. It happens all the time. That's what my whole system is based around.
Yeah, but get this. Bruce Lee was an actor also.
I know. Yeah, I know. Right?
So what are these guys talking about? Like, but Bruce was a street fighter. Dude, he was an actor, man. He was a childhood act. Like, he was a child actor, like a famous one, too. He came from, like, a big opera family and all that.
It's interesting. I did a post on Bruce Lee. I looked at pictures of his, it's on my Instagram. You'll probably like it. I'll send it to you later. But I looked at his face, and during his teen years, he started developing major scars all over. Like, and I'm a fighter. I know what fighter scars look like. You know what I'm saying? And you could see he's had his chin split open. He's had his eye split. He's had his forehead split. There's legit scars. Like, Yeah, and then you look at his knuckles, and I found scars that weren't there before. He's got massive, like he punched somebody in the teeth really hard because I got those same types of scars, and I didn't, I didn't know. I like I said, going back to where's the reality? Where's it end? Mysticism and fact, right? So what could I prove about Bruce Lee? Here's what I did know about him. He had tenacity. He was angry because he was a quarter German. I went through a whole thing breaking down his psychology, all the way down to the way he was raised, all the things that were against him, blah, blah, blah. Because what makes a fighter ultimately? Here. I don't care who you are. It's all up here. So his circumstances was a perfect breed for a fighter. If I really look at it, like Bruce Lee's circumstances and the way he was raised and all the things that were going against him, psychologically, I think personally, he definitely was in a lot of fights. I don't know how good he was, but from what I could see, as far as what I could tell, my personal opinion, yeah, you don't train that hard either. Like physicality wise, the guy was a freaking specimen for his size. He overtrained so much that he tore his sacral nerve. And that's what people don't realize. He was literally disabled. A lot of his stuff that he did in movies, dude, he was in chronic pain. That's what killed him. He was blasting stinking cortisol and taking painkillers and so he was obviously very dedicated. He was almost OCD to his craft. But that tells me about his mindset. He was the guy with that mindset to train that hard.
Yeah, you're right about that, because you can't have a mindset like that if you didn't have some kind of thing that triggered it. Something
Exactly.
happened,
Yes.
bullying or fighting or whatever. And because like you said, like he was a quarter German or something, and then some of the kids found out, and then it
Yeah.
got
he tried to join the military, had an undescended freaking testy, had blindness in his eyes, so he couldn't go to the military. That freaking hurt him really bad. There's tons of stuff. He wasn't a big guy, but, so probably got picked on for his size as well. Tons of stuff. Of course he probably was pissed off.
Yeah, because you got to be pissed off to train like that, to get to that level where that he got in terms of strength and speed, because he was a genetic outlier, gifted.
Yes. Yes.
At the minimum, he was gifted, physically gifted, really strong, really fast, and of course he maxed it out through training like a madman. And so definitely his mindset was there, and his whole philosophy, super, super interesting. Super at that time, he was a pioneer, right? Nobody.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in my own style, I apply Bruce's principles now. That a lot of the top guys, John Jones, Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson, even fought southpaw because of Bruce Lee. So his concepts are solid. If you read the Complete Fighting Method and read his stuff works. So that's another thing. It's if I use his stuff and I know for a fact it's worked, and I've trained with, guys that are high level kickboxers, high level jiu-jitsu guys, all that type of stuff. If I've applied it, I don't care what you tell me. If I can apply it and it works for me, whatever you say is inconsequential because I've proved it to myself. Same thing with conditioning. When people talk about conditioning, if you can prove it to yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else says, really. I always tell people this: if Bruce Lee wasn't as bad as he said he was, let me ask you this, he went to a karate tournament with the best of the best in karate, talked shit to everyone there, and said, "All right, what's up, guys? Why didn't anyone fight him? Why? Was it because he was such a glamorous big talker that he literally talked all the karate practitioners in there? And karate was hard back then, remember, right? So he just talked them all into submissiveness."
Yeah. No. That makes sense.
So really, you got to think he did some pretty big things, and nobody wanted to step up to him. If somebody had said that about my style, oh, karate sucks, and I was I was super bad karateka or whatever, dude, I'd be fighting him, right? Why didn't anyone fight him?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I never thought of it that way.
I always tell people, I always try to think about these things from a psychological standpoint. I personally think he's a fighter, but what everybody else says, that's up to them.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think he was a fighter. He had the mindset and everything. Now, how good he was, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. And the thing is, even if he wasn't a high level fighter, so to speak, it doesn't take away from who he was as a person, what he accomplished, and also his philosophies. It doesn't negate that. you know. So that's where people, I think, it's like had this attitude of it's all or nothing. Either he's a god or he's not. No,
Yeah,
actually, like you said, it's always
somewhere
it's
in the
somewhere in the
middle.
middle. You know what I mean? So yeah, obviously, like his full-time gig wasn't professional fighting, so of course he's not going to be like as good as a professional fighter, right? But
Yeah,
I mean, he was a martial artist, and of course he was an actor as well, right? So that's where people get it a little bit twisted. So then when, just because, like, if I were to say, like, I don't think Bruce Lee was that good in terms of fighting, it doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting him or I think less of him in any way. Like, he's done what he's done, but you have to be able to separate things. That's just my take on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Hey, how much time do you have left?
We got another 30 minutes. I'm good to go. I don't got anything planned. Yeah. Keep
Okay,
going.
okay. If you're sure about that, because I don't want to, like,
I'm here. I'm here. I'm having a
Okay,
good time. If you
yeah.
were boring me, I might leave, you know?
Okay. Oh, is that why you said you only had an hour? You're like, God, this guy sucks balls, man. I don't want to, like I gotta sit there and talk for freaking and carry this conversation for. Is that it?
Uh,
No, that's actually pretty smart. Like, I hats off to you. I respect that, man.
yeah.
But
Yeah. It's the easiest way to determine what a truth is. You know, you got to look from it from a logical standpoint and
Mhm.
kind of put your emotions aside. You know, it's like I tell people, like, you know, UFC fighters these days, man, people worship these guys like gods. And I'm like, bro, no, no. You know, you just talk about Francis Ngannou. You compare Francis Ngannou to Stipe Miocic, right?
Mhm. Yeah, Myochik. I think
Yeah.
that's the way
Okay, so you're telling me a guy is a full-time fighter and he fights part-time and he beat up the best in the world? So what's that tell you?
Mhm.
Mindset training, mindset training, mindset training. Anyone can do it as long as you have the mindset, the training, the mindset, the training, right? So,
Yeah, and I think even a mindset affects the way you train, right?
oh, totally.
It's totally gonna, and if you train a certain way and you're prepared, that's gonna affect your confidence. If you have confidence walking in, and on top of that, you're just there, okay, I'm gonna murder this guy, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
I'll
that's
buy him a drink afterwards, whatever, like, yeah.
my whole, like, you know, we've talked about a little bit about my system, relentless style, right? And I I base it off a couple of things, right? Chaos. And my favorite animal by far is the Wolverine, right? The Wolverine. Now, and I'm talking about the animal. Okay, I watched a documentary called Chasing the Phantom, I believe is what it was called. This documentary that was put out a while ago. It was all about Wolverines. Great documentary, but those animals are not the biggest, but they are so tenacious, so violent, and so stinking just aggressive. They take on bears, they take on packs of wolves, they steal food, large carcasses from these other, like, massive animals, right?
Mhm.
But one thing I've learned from that is tenacity, ferociousness, sheer violence, unbridled violence that people just don't even comprehend. Like, I mean, I know fighters that are good technical fighters, but being a good technical fighter and being a straight up fighter and a killer, like that, having that mentality to just destroy people is a totally different thing. You know, I know guys knock people out and they're like, man, I was scared, you know, and I know other guys, they knock people out and they're going for blood full on. So I tell people, like, yeah, size matters, but
Mhm.
you should, for your size, like, doesn't matter if you're 135 or 250 or anywhere in between. You should be as viciously, brutally strong for your size as possible. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter any of those things, because strength, endurance, those things will carry you through a fight so much more so than anything. And then I also talk about chaos theory, right? The puncher's chance. If you are good at striking, you only need that one shot. One shot. That's all it takes. One
Mhm.
shot, and that's it. Can end the fight, right? A lot of people talk about Conor McGregor when he fought oh, I forget who was fighting. Oh, it was Jose Aldo, right?
Oh
Hit him
yeah,
once,
that.
once, got in his head and hit him once. Why? And everybody was like, oh my God, guess what? That's what happens in the fight game, baby. You don't know. Today might be your day. It might be his day. But if you go in there thinking it's going to be your day, you're probably going to be the one on the mat. But if I go in there like, hey, man, let's see what happens. I have a saying, when in doubt, slug it out. Just start throwing blows. Like, if I don't know what to do, man, I'm just like, I'm all right. Let's just go. Here we go. It's stand and bang, baby.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice. I mean, it's better than standing there confused.
Yeah, so many people.
That's what happens. If you stand there and you're thinking, well, the guy's just gonna be like, okay, well, since the dumbass is just
easy target,
deer in headlights, let me just smack him a little bit, So
yeah, totally, yeah. So I and that's like in the way I developed my system, right? Because I wanted to incorporate a belt system, right, into my style, but my style is a mixed style, right? The way I do my testing, right, for like from white to yellow belt, guess what? It's not based off of kata. It's based off of combat experience. So what I do is I give a curriculum. Essentially, curriculum is from white to yellow belt, for instance, you have to be able to punch effectively, kick effectively, catch and sweep from a kick effectively. So you have 10 hours that you have to spar, and then you have a strength test and a conditioning test and an endurance test, right? So in order to up yourself in my system, katas don't matter. It matters of how well you fight, how well you can perform a move in combat, and how strong and dedicated you are to developing your body into a weapon. And then every stage progressively gets harder. Like for me, people are always like, oh, you're huge, man. You probably have horrible cardio. I literally can punch a heavy bag nonstop for an hour straight with no breaks. I tell people, you want me to be on you for an hour, slugging at you for an hour with no breaks?
I don't think you need an hour, to be honest.
But you know what? But that's the level I try to elevate myself to, because I know that if I have that, push comes to shove, if all I can do is just throw punches until like the other guy gives up, and that's all I got to do, I just know I can keep constant pressure on. That's a scary thing. When you constantly have that, you fought with pressure fighters, I'm sure, right? Those guys that just constantly are on you, and they just don't give you time to think or breathe or anything. That's what my style is all about, constantly pushing forward. I don't want you to be able to think. I don't want you to be able to breathe. I want you to just get mentally and physically and spiritually, emotionally exhausted until I'm like, all right, I broke you. And then I want to continue to break you and wear you down. So you don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, that's like a hard it took me a while to understand how to deal with that. And I'm not even sure I had the right approach but the way I try to do it, if I'm fighting somebody, let's say my size, right, for argument's sakes, and he's coming at me, pressure. Let's say it's boxing, pressure. So what I got to do is, well, as he comes in, right, I got to stand my ground and crack him hard. And I got to punch up. Totally. Or I got to use my footwork to maybe get out of the way for a little bit, but then I got to crack him hard. I got to earn his respect so that he chills out for a second. Because
totally.
But the problem is, if I don't have that power to make him respect me, I'm screwed. Like I can't be dancing around the ring all the time, because he's eventually gonna catch up to me, and then I'm gonna get cracked, and then it's gonna be all over. So
and people too, they talk about Floyd Mayweather being the greatest boxer of all time, right? Because of his undefeated record. He's a defensive artist, right? That's his thing, his defense. He's not known for having crazy knockout power. He's not known for any of those. You compare his record to a guy like Rocky Marciano, who just knocked everyone out and pretty much had the same exact record. Okay, one of those guys is a boxer and the other one's a fighter. There's a big difference. And people misconstrue that idea as well. It's like, you cannot compare ring fighting to self-defense. There's so much that goes ring fighting. There's so much preparation that goes into it. So if you knew you were going to fight me, right? Or I knew I was going to fight you, how much do you think about that? How much do you prep? How much video footage do you watch? Do you watch my training style? Do you notice my weaknesses? Do you notice this? Do you notice that? What are you looking for? Are you looking for, gaps in my game? You don't have that at a street fight. You don't know who you're fighting. You don't know if they're carrying a weapon. You don't know any of those things. So going back to the idea of chaos, you have to be fully competent in any situation. Like it's not about like, oh, well, yeah, we go 3 minutes, I get a minute rest, we go 3 minutes. Like, yes, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but I'd much rather be doing that than somebody trying to end my life. Like, or not even intentionally trying to end my life. I'd rather get knocked out on the canvas and hit my head on canvas than get knocked out in the street from a blind side and hit my head on concrete and die. So when I talk about those things and going from I say have martial arts mentality, and street fighting brutality. Have the martial arts mindset of the skill and the development, but fight like a dog. Just fight like a stinking animal when you go in there. I just say, this is business. I'm here. I'm not going to be here worrying about your feelings. None of that. Like, if we're fighting, we're fighting. Like, that's how I want to deal with it. There's no, put everything else aside, treat it as a job, get the job done as efficiently, as brutally as possible.
Yeah. Say that again. That was interesting. You said martial arts.
Martial arts mentality, street fighting brutality.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah. Because like going back to, I'll give you a perfect example. John Jones. Look at John Jones, best fighter in the world. When somebody was breaking in his car to John Jones, like, hey, bro, you know what? I'm going to run out there with my UFC gloves on right now. Is that what he did? No, he came out with a 12 gauge. Why? Because he's a thug. He knows what's up. He's the best fighter in the world. You know what he did? He grabbed a 12 gauge. So yeah, that's the real world. That's the real world where people live in. So, I'm hand to hand is super important, but being trained and everything else is also important. I don't slack off on any type of training. I'm not just here training my hands and my feet and my super awesome karate. That's not what, like, I know how to use a blade. I know how to use firearms. So going back to like what a real martial arts system should involve, it should be involving drills with that type of stuff. Like martial arts, warlike arts means being prepared for war. If you are prepared for ring fighting in a sport, that is not the same as being prepared for everyday life of trying not to die.
Yeah, no, agree. Hey, give me 1 second here. Somebody actually gave me super chat, like first super chat of ever.
Oh, hey. Yeah, fancy, cool. They like me.
Yeah. So here's it's actually my friend Area. Hey, thanks, buddy. Guys, I have to get in the habit of like doing this and looking at like the comment section at the same time, which is new to me. So then I'm talking to you, we're having a good time, but then I forget about reading the comments and all.
Tell the people, what do the people say, OG? What do the people say? Tell me what they're saying.
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit here. We don't have like a million comments.
For the people!
Let's see here. Okay, something regarding, you see, this was like when we were talking about Bruce Lee. We were talking about like, that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
And how they were saying how like Bruce Lee would actually beat up his stunt doubles. So yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, man. I don't think Bruce Lee was like some kind of douchebag walking around, because I think that maybe Quentin Tarantino like heard some stories from other stuntmen, but you know what I mean?
So the biggest thing about Bruce Lee is like people don't realize the amount of pain that guy was in. Like, so going back to, remember we talked about like what a fighter is. A torn sacral nerve. So he got a torn sacral nerve doing good morning exercises. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's pretty much where you put a barbell on your back and you hinge at your hips forward with the barbell on your back. He did him too heavy and tore his sacral nerve, and that's what put him in the hospital. They told him he'd never walk again. And then he was on cortisol shots for inflammation, right? Couldn't jump, barely could walk, started having seizures from pain meds. They say recently they just found a bunch of documentation of him writing to his friend asking for cocaine, because that's what stimulated him for train. It was huge.
Right. Yeah. The whole cocaine thing. Yeah, I've heard about that. Like, I didn't have the time to like watch some videos and really understand and take a look at
so. Well, people don't realize cocaine was a huge thing back in the time. It was pretty common. People used it. Coca-Cola produced it. It was used in the common household to just get chores done. Think about it. It was like the energy drink back in the day. But cocaine also is a local anesthetic. It's in the same as lidocaine and novocaine, right? So it's a local anesthetic. It can cause numbness. So if he was a dickhead on set, yeah, I would be too. Dude, think about it. You're trying to do all these filming and all this stunt work and all this stuff. You're in chronic pain, like all the time, chronic pain, having seizures, your body's failing on you. You know, you don't like think about that. He had 2 kids. Can you imagine dying, being in chronic pain, and having 2 kids you're going to leave behind? Think about what that guy went through emotionally. And then, so, I mean, for me, myself, you know, he probably didn't show a lot of that. But for me, myself, knowing that about him, like, makes me respect him a lot more. But at the same time, that's how human he was. He was a hurt individual with a broken back. Like, that's the reality of it. Great martial arts, but he was not like, imagine if he wasn't hurt. Imagine if he could have done everything he wanted to do. You know, his whole one leg fighting style, you know, his fighting style, right? The fencing footwork. Why do you think he developed it that way? Oh, yeah, it's because one of his legs didn't work properly.
Yeah. I remember, I think I saw a video on that regarding, like, he actually put his strong leg forward.
Yes, so it's called a power lead southpaw.
Okay, but I wasn't aware because the other leg didn't work.
It was injured. He couldn't flex as well. So, you know, you have to adapt. You have to learn. And his fighting style, like his Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do is still taught. You know, and like I said before, it's great style. It's got a lot of great concepts, and then you combine it with a lot of the newer age mixed martial arts. The same, you know, different moveset, but same principles. Awesome style.
Yeah. Oh, I got a question from one of the guys here in the community. It's actually from area. He wants to know, like, are you a fighter?
Am I a professional fighter?
Just are you a fighter? So he didn't specify, but yeah, I'll let you answer that one.
So I'm the type of guy, you know. This is kind of an interesting story about me. All right. So I'm that asshole. I'm that asshole that goes to gyms and just, dude, I go, like, nobody really, like, I've done my own thing, but I've been in so many gyms and sparring with so many people. And back in the day, underground MMA was big. Like, we did so many fights in sand pits. It was ridiculous. I'd fight 4-5 times a night sometimes. And dude, street fights, same thing. Like, back in my hometown, a lot of the street gangs knew martial arts. Like, I remember there was this one guy, we didn't even have like beef. Our crews didn't have beef, but he was like their known fighter. Like, oh yeah, like when fights broke out, you'd pick your strongest soldiers. Like, hey, that guy versus that guy. It wasn't like, oh, hey, let's pull out guns and shoot each other. No. It was your martial arts versus my martial arts. So, like, people don't understand, like, there's different eras, and they want to discredit it. You know, they're like, oh, well, that's not ring fighting. That's not real fighting. Let me explain. Kimbo Slice, Jorge Masvidal. Where did these guys come? Oh, yeah, that's right. The streets. And then they went to the UFC. The streets. Okay. So people don't want to talk about, you know, street fighters or not real fight. Dude, the only thing that separates street fighters and professional fighters is pay and athleticism. So, like I said, going back to, you know, having martial arts mentality, street fighting brutality, if you want to push yourself to the next level, right, of martial arts, you need to stop worshiping titles. You need to stop worshiping champions, freaking blah, 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 blah. When I entered my power breaking competitions, right, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what relentless style was. John Inhan Yusul, nobody knew what that was. I went in there and I defeated multiple world champions. And guess who taught me? I learned how to break because I'd been doing so much bare knuckle. I taught myself how to break by watching videos, learning how the pros did it, and trying to better them. And I trained in my backyard. Nobody showed me how to smash through I did that because I wanted to. So I'm a firm believer, titles or not, you can be dangerous at any realm, and you can be dangerous to any man at any realm. You know, I got friends who got in some scraps and some bar scraps with guys that were, you know, they're like, yeah, we're MMA fighters, bro. We all train together. And my friends were like, we don't care. We don't give a shit who you are. Sorry. And guess what? Things got ugly. And guys that thought their MMA skills were going to carry over, that had never been, you know, hit with a bottle, smashed with a chair, hit with a baton, like, that's a little different, you know? So I tell people, like, don't think just because you train MMA or you've had a couple of pro fights. BJ Penn, guess what happened to BJ Penn? He got knocked out in a street fight. knocked out in a street fight. Who was it? DJ Tilshaw or whatever. What happened to him? Oh yeah, he was drunk, talking crap to a bouncer. What happened to him? Oh yeah, choked out. The whole thing with Colby Covington and stinking Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal cracked him outside of the ring and took him out. Why do you win in the ring? But he did. Guess what? Because a fight is a fight is a fight is a fight. It doesn't matter if you fight as a pro or fight on the street. Like I said, there comes a certain point where everybody's got a puncher's chance, you know? And then everything else is statistics, really, you know? I just try to compare myself to what does a top level athlete do? Like you look at Muhammad Ali, how many punches did Muhammad Ali throw in a round of boxing? You know his average? 73. 73. That's how many punches he'd throw on average as a professional heavyweight. So 73 punches. So for me, myself, I know if I can throw 73 punches in a 3-minute round, right? And I can do that consistently, I have the cardio and the stamina of Muhammad Ali. You know, so that's how you kind of base yourself. Like, if I know the strongest man can deadlift 1,000 pounds and I can lift 1,000 pounds as well, that's how you compete. That's a great thing about the internet. That's a great thing about statistics and math. You can figure out where you lie in the realm of things just simply by looking up records, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I never thought of it that way. Like if you could use that as a measuring stick. Okay, this is where the top guys in the world are. If I get there or close to there, then, you know.
Totally. Yeah. And like that's what I said. Like Francis Ngannou, he has the strongest strike, but guess what? On record, that's me. I have the strongest strike. I said, Francis Ngannou, you want that title? Come join a breaking competition. Let's see you do a 1-inch punch and break through 7 slabs of concrete and not bust your hand. Then you can say you're the champ. But
yeah.
I've done that. I've done that 5 times. 5 times, 5 gold medals I've won in the greatest breaking tournament there is, you know, in the world. The highest standard, the highest level of breaking is ISCA, which is an International Sports Karate Association, and the USBA/WBA, which is United States Breaking Association, World Breaking Association. Those are the 2 biggest ones. So like, you know, people see this and they don't realize there's actually competitions for how hard you can strike. Just because some guy hit a machine and he has a bunch of fame because of it, you know, not to discredit him, doesn't mean Joe Rogan. Look at Joe Rogan. You ever seen his kicks compared to professional UFC fighters? Joe Rogan blows those guys away. And he's this old dude.
And like, I think there's you know there's that YouTuber Sensei Seth.
Yes,
I think he made a video trying to see how much his kicks compared to Joe Rogan's. I didn't watch the whole video, so I don't know.
I know. I want to hit one of those machines so bad. As soon as I saw that, I looked it up online. I'm like, dang, bro. I think it's like, I want to say it's like $1,300+ for one. But if I got my stinking hands on one of those, oh my goodness, I would have a field day.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if in the video if he beat Joe's record or not. Like was his kick stronger than Joe's or close or whatever. But yeah, man. So those machines cost that much. What about just showing up to where do those machines like I don't know, they had them in like UFC gyms or whatever?
Man, some of them do. The only one like I've ever seen like measure punching power is those ones at the arcade. You know which ones I'm talking about when you press it?
Quarter, comes down and you're like.
So true story. I took my wife and we were going to see a movie and they had one. It was like the Spider-Man one, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll try this. Dude, broke the machine. Hit it so hard it just turned off. It went all the way to like 999, just boop off. I was like, well, I guess I maxed out the machine. So those are kind of fun, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. There's striking force, there's penetration force of how fast you move. Like, are you hitting like a thump or are you hitting through your target? You know, people don't realize professional breakers, those guys break their limbs in competition. Like you mess up on a break, you're going to break your arm. It's not a joke, you know, it's like, but it's a niche sport. It's like arm wrestling, you know, like arm wrestlers, are they not great athletes? No. But do a lot of people follow arm wrestling? No, not necessarily, but we don't do it because people follow it. We do it because we love it. So for me, like power breaking is essentially like strongman for martial artists. You know what I mean? Like there's all types of martial arts competitions. That's the one that like, you know, develops your power. And for me, it was cool because I was like 225, 230 when I was competing, maybe a little less. and heavyweight is 200 and above. So I had to hit harder than guys that were like 270, 280 or more.
Ooh,
And you're
okay.
hitting a stationary stack of concrete that does not move. So
Mhm.
power in fighting is different because there's timing, there's movement, there's head movement, you know, all that stuff
Mhm.
comes into play, whether or not you can land a clean shot, right?
Mhm.
In power breaking, it's a stationary target. So if you have weight and you have technique, you automatically have an advantage. So I had to hit harder than guys that had 50 pounds on me. So like that says a lot, you know, because they have the advantage automatically.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, you know, now that we talk about that, like that makes sense that it's kind of like the strongman competition for martial artists, right? Because
Yes.
what better way to prove who hits harder than to smash through shit?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, logically, it's like how we're not gonna punch somebody out because then you know it's not the way we
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
demonstrate it properly, you know. So let's just break shit. Now,
Yeah.
have you ever seen any like you know those like Shaolin monks or those guys who you know like do traditional martial arts come into those competitions and compete?
Yeah, so that's the thing about professional power breaking is it's all styles are welcome. Like
Mhm.
you just have to have a black belt to enter the concrete competition because so there's wood, there's unspaced wood, and then there's concrete. Concrete is the highest. That's the only competition I've ever competed in was concrete.
Mhm.
Um, so you have to. So I'm not competing just against Taekwondo guys. I'm competing against karate guys, Taekwondo guys, other styles. I competed with guys from Canada, from Texas, from New York, California.
Any Chinese monks?
Um, I didn't see any. I did not see any. But
Mm.
Shaolin Kung Fu, those guys have it really because you notice how they do a lot of static movement where they're like holding those big jars. Going
Yeah.
back to like, remember I was talking about what the static like when I hold partials. You've seen
Mhm.
me. I pick up 700 pounds and I'll hold it there for 15 seconds, breathing, focusing. They're doing the same thing. Think about it. That holding, that's isometric holds. They're just
Mhm.
doing it with, you know, water in jars or what. It's the same exact concept though. And that's why
Mhm.
those guys are so stinking strong and so stinking when they hit, they're so conditioned because they do the conditioning aspect. They also do the strength training aspect. They also do all of that. That all comes into play. They had it figured out before we had scientific names for it. And that's what made them seem, I don't know if you've seen any of the Thor movies, but Thor, he said something in the movie that stuck with me. He said, he's talking to his girlfriend or something in the movie. He said, what you call magic, we call science. And that is, there's no truer statement. If you took a nuclear weapon and went back in time, could you imagine like where the armies all had just swords and shields? Imagine if you're like, watch this, bro. You
Uh,
drop a nuke and just waste a whole army of 1 million dudes. They'd call you God.
oh yeah,
That's what
instantaneously. Like you'd rule like everybody.
everything. Nobody
Mhm.
would touch you. You'd be like, I could send another one at any given moment. So that's all you'd have to do is just literally tell them. Or you brought something like an AK-47
Mhm.
against, you know, that's magic. It's science, but we just don't understand it. Same with chi energy. It's not chi. It's called muscles and bone conditioning and training your ass off to punch through hard things. You know, there's no chi. The real chi is real energy. I believe in kinetics. That's real energy, kinetic energy. You know, objects in motion want to remain in motion. Mathematical understanding of you know leverages and all that other stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you know, you said something really interesting early on is that if you have a certain like you know like magical powers or mystical martial arts or whatever, you know, that some people believe in, what it really is that it's when you're able to do something that your average person can't do. You know, like for example, if you could bust through concrete and the average guy can't do that, well, you're technically doing something superhuman.
Superhuman, yeah,
Yeah,
totally,
exactly. You know, and
totally.
even in on a skill standpoint, right? Like I see it when I wrestle with guys or when I do judo. Like you could tell the difference when you're fighting these guys. You're doing randori, you know, you're sparring. Like you start to like they start to put their hands on you, and you could feel how like the level that they have. You know, like let's say I'm here and I grab a guy who's been in the Olympics a couple of times. All of a sudden, we start sparring, and I can feel his skill level is like here.
Yeah,
But I understand that because I have a certain skill set myself, you know, in
Yeah.
that specific sport. But I already know that this guy is like here. So if this guy were to grab some guy who has like zero skill set, he would seem like he has magical powers or chi or whatever.
Yeah.
He could pull that off. He'd be like, I'll do this, I do that, and woof, you know,
Yeah.
you end up in the sky and then you land. You
Yeah.
know? But then
Yeah.
but the guy, it's because, and then the other guy is gonna think, oh, this guy has magical chi powers or all that. But no, it's just that he's mastered his skill set at such a high level that when he does it on somebody who's essentially a zero, then that person just didn't understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah. And that's true of every sport. Like I don't know. I love watching parkour, gymnastics. I like other sports, even if I can't do them. They have amazing awe and impressiveness to me. You tell a guy, oh yeah, I know a man that can run up a 10-foot wall and do a triple backflip off of a building, land on the ground and not get hurt. You'd be like, what? Like, you know, you tell somebody that's never seen parkour, they're gonna be like, that's insane. That's a real life Spider-Man. Like, you know, so like to me, I always tell people, like, I always was into superheroes growing up. Wolverine, Spider-Man, you know, Dragon Ball Z, all this stuff. And people made fun of me. They're like, you can't do any of that stuff. And guess what? Yeah, all right, sure. I can't shoot energy blasts out of my hands. I can punch through concrete, though. I can bend and snap steel hammers with my bare hands. I can carry 3 times my body weight. I can pick up a truck, you know? Like, all right, yeah, sure. I'm not Goku, but guess what? I still train my body to a heightened level, and it feels pretty freaking cool to be able to do that. That's top 1% of this, you know, in terms of strength. That to me is like, I'm not a rich man, you know. I could buy a Lamborghini. I could have $10 million in my bank account, and guess what? I probably still would not be in the top 10% of the world in terms of wealth. But being a poor man and being who I am, I've already broken the top 1% in terms of strength. And nobody can take that from me. And that I appreciate so much, because my walk in life, it doesn't matter where my walk in life is, because my strength, who I am, speaks for itself. I can go into a room full of men with millions of dollars, nice suits, all this, and they're going to notice my presence, just my physicality. And then if you strip us all down to our most primal state, you know, no clothes, guess what? Then everything becomes even scarier. Then when you're really just standing there and you're like, my person is all that I have right now, that's when you really know your worth. That's when you really know what you're about.
Yeah. You ever heard that? I think I must have mentioned this in somewhere, but you know how when you walk into a room, you know, let's say it's some kind of social event with a whole bunch of celebrities, you know, Hollywood actors. You got like rich people, entrepreneurs, and all that.
Oh, I remember this. You're talking about the fighter.
Yeah, and then the you know, like the heavyweight champion of the world walks in. Nobody cares anymore about the actors, the politicians, the rich dudes. Nobody cares. Everyone's just all eyes on the heavyweight champion of the world, you know?
Well, and there's the saying, you know, people put so much trust in money, put so much trust in material things, but guess what? You know what the ultimate currency is? Something that can get you whatever you need? Violence. Violence. No, really, think about it, though, for a second. Okay, you're poor, you need money, you kill a rich man, right? And this has been going on in history forever. Ever. Everybody thinks that their money is going to protect them. They're sitting in their pretty houses. They got their nice villages. Guess what? The Vikings are like, look at those guys. They got a lot of nice stuff. Come on, boys. They go over there and kill everyone. Oh, your women are beautiful? Take that too. Oh, all your nice things, those are mine now. And guess what? Because violence is the ultimate currency. It transcends every ethnic group, transcends religion, transcends the gods, transcends all of humanity. It's understood by everyone, right?
Yeah.
That's why people always talk about these countries and, oh, my country is the greatest country in the world. Your country is the most violent country in the world. That is how power is really, really, really dictated. It's not about money. It's about who can kick whose ass. And that goes all the way to the highest forms of government. The highest forms of government. It does. End of story. And people are like, oh, can't we all just talk and get along? And they don't like to hear that. And those same people that don't like to hear that they're powerless, call the cops and have the cops come, and the cops use their violence to inflict violence on the criminals. So it's like, no matter which way you look at it, whether you're the one inflicting violence or somebody is using the violence of authority against you, violence solves everything. It's always been that way.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's funny that you're talking about this, because I was having a discussion with one of my friends, and you know, when the whole lockdown was happening, you know, the whole beer bug thing, you know, and people were getting locked down, and then people were worried, especially at the beginning when we weren't sure.
Totally, nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, and like, we were thinking, yeah, you know, maybe this is the end of civilization as we know it, you know, so to speak. Like maybe this is Walking Dead about to happen right here, you know. So
that would have been so much more fun. Dude, I'd be
I was thinking the exact same thing.
I would just be like, dude, zombie kill of the day all day, bro. I'd be looking for interesting ways how to waste a zombie every day. Like, what did I do yesterday?
Yeah, because
let's try something new.
If that happens, like if that were to happen, right? I was thinking to myself, and I was talking to my friend about it. I'm like, well, basically, I would be a rock star, because now all of a sudden my skill set, my you know, like, here as you know, my body, what I'm able to do, you know, my so-called, like, my savagery, my skill, my mindset, my fitness, my whatever, my strength, my endurance, you know, my brutality. All of a sudden, all of these things become super valuable, because now you could be a rich nerd dork, and you can have food, and you can have all this, and you know, like, you stored up a whole bunch of stuff. But guess what? What it really means is you're just holding on to it for me until I get there. Because when I get there, it's mine. Thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah.
Go make yourself useful and do this, do that, you know, and because that's what it would be, you know? Like, and also, like, the first thing I would do if something like that went down, I would gather up my crew of friends. We'd go get a whole bunch of weapons, you know, for survival. And then we'd go shopping. You know, we'd go shopping and be like, hey, you nerd, come here.
And that's what people don't realize. Like, they're like, there's no hierarchy. It's like, yes, there is a hierarchy. You're just at the bottom of it, and that's why you don't want to admit it. Like, sorry, bro. Like, sucks to be you, nerd. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, you either got to roll with it or you don't. But this whole concept of everybody's a winner, no, we're not all winners. That's not how this is going to happen. And when stuff hits the fan, if you think you're a winner, you're going to find out real quick you're a loser.
Yeah, you know? And that's why, like, you ever heard of Andrew Tate?
Yes.
Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, the Tate brothers. So one thing, like, they talk a lot about is being combat ready, and surrounding yourself with guys who are combat ready, who are warriors, you know, who are go-getters. Like, that way, when shit hits the fan, you have your elite squad with you, and they have your back and you have their back, you know? So I think there's a lot of truth to that, because bottom line is that you're the average of, you must have heard this, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most, right?
Yeah.
So if you hang around with a whole bunch of dorks that play video games, you're going to be dork number 6 playing video games and being pretty much useless. Right?
Yeah.
If you hang around with a whole bunch of dudes who are doing something with their lives, right? Who are chasing excellence, who are fighting, who are in shape, who are like men, so to speak, then you're going to be like them as well. And you're better off being with a crew like that than being with a whole bunch of, you know, for a lack of better term, like
feeders, zombie feed.
Zombie feed.
Yeah, like I always thought about. I was like, man, if there really is a zombie apocalypse and it's like rotting flesh and all that, dude, I would just have some Kevlar gloves and brass knuckles, dude. I would just punch holes in zombies. That would be like, everybody else would be rocking like machetes and things. Nah, I'd just have either that or like the World War II trench knives, like the little blades and the brass knuckles. Super illegal, but so sick. I want one so bad, but I can't find one. But it's essentially a dagger, and it's attached to brass knuckles, and it was used in World War II. They're trench knives.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
That's what they were called. Like there was actually a name for that, like
Yes.
trench knives, and so you would have brass knuckles, and then on top of that, the blade.
Dude, that is the ultimate zombie fighter right there. Totally. Think about it. If you have great stamina, dude, just walking through and just cracking zombies to the ground. Yeah.
Whatever. Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just have some body armor so you don't get bit. Good to go.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Hey, I want to get back to your relentless fighting system. So you're saying that like from white to yellow, they would have to have a certain amount of sparring hours, right, under the belt, and then certain criteria for their physical fitness as well.
Yeah. So
and then what would be the next stage up? Because and how many belts would you put like?
Right now in place, I have about 7 belts, and it goes from kickboxing, and then we go to clinch fighting, and then we go all to like pretty much like clinch fighting and judo. So like a mixture of clinch fighting to takedowns. And then the last 2 are all about positioning and ground and pound. So our objective is like, we do submissions, but ultimately ground and pound, I always tell people submissions are great. But guess what? A submission will never be faster than a KO. It doesn't matter what type of submission it is. A punch and a KO can end a fight in a second. There is no submission where you can lock it in place and end a fight in a second, right? So I always tell people it's important to know positioning, grappling, and submissions if you come into that situation. It's absolutely part of the training. But most of our groundwork is all about positioning and ground and pound and being able to get back to your feet if in case you are attacked by another opponent. So like we'll do like, for instance, a hip toss, and you know how like when you control the arm with the hip toss, you throw them over. I'll hold the arm and then I'll throw a stomp to the head and then I'll throw a stomp to the shoulder joint, stuff like that. Like I want to get my opponent on the ground and stomp as much as I can. If I can't stomp and I go to the ground with them, it's all about ground and pound. So we focus a lot on our stand-up game. And then as far as our takedowns go, we focus mostly on slams. So like hip tosses, behind the back sweeps, double leg takedowns, anything where I pick you up and slam you into an object, cause maximum damage. And then, that's the idea. My whole style is all about effectiveness, as much damage and as little as time as possible, but being able to fight for as long as possible as well. So we do a lot of, all of our sparring is also done in shoes. No steel toe boots are allowed, but we do all of our sparring in shoes, jeans, and normal clothes, because I've had guys show up to spar. I'm like, bring your street clothes, and they bring some ghetto fab, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a field day with you.
Pull down their pants.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. We're like, you think that's how you fight, homeboy? We're like, what's up? Pull up your pants. What? You can't box? You can't kick? Like, I was part of a crew, a real crew. You want to talk about real thugs, dude, everyone has belts. We take off our shirts when we fight. We lace our shoes when we fight. High tops are like a mandatory thing in my style because I use a lot of savate kicks combined with Taekwondo.
When you take off your shirt, is there a reason for that?
Yeah. So, if I have a shirt like this, right? This one can rip off clean, right? Real clean and easy. But if I take off, like if you're wearing a normal shirt that doesn't rip, think about it. Somebody can collar choke tie you, pull your shirt over your head and uppercut you in the face. Numerous things they could do. So for me, and it's a sign of war. Like I'm going to fight someone. Sometimes like I'll take off my shirt, hold it in my hand. And when the dude comes at me, I'll throw my shirt at his face and then throw a side kick to his knee.
Or if the guy has a knife and you want to like wrap your hand so you could.
Yeah, there's there's applications like something my brother always taught me, like you have a set of keys, right? They make sound. You like somebody's like, hey, let me see what's in your pockets, and you take out and you have your keys. You throw your keys at their face real quick and then hit them with a 1-2, right? Like this is just a small projectile just for that split second of having an advantageous position, so. Taking off your shirt, lacing up your shoes, making sure your belt's on tight. You can fight, you can run. Like all these guys that say, oh, I'm a gangster, bro. It's like you're wearing a nightgown, you tard. And on top of that, your stinking pants are sagged to your knees. I've seen a guy with his pants like by his knees. The other guy came up and literally stepped and pinned his feet to the ground by his pants, hit him with a 1-2, got on top of him full mount and just rained elbows on his face until the dude was a bloody mess. So like, people talk about like, oh, thugs, this, that. Like, if you really are into like, you want to be good at street combat, train in clothes that you're gonna fight in. Like, people are like, why do you train in jeans? Why are you train in shoes? Because that's what I lift in. And like I tell people, like, this is like, my clothes are comfortable. You know, I don't need special gear to go to the gym and lift. I don't wear headphones. I don't need to go in there with like my smelling salts, my let me get my playlist real quick, bro. No, I don't need any of that. It's all up here. And I tell people that I can stinking deadlift to Justin Bieber. I don't freaking care. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm just going in there to act like an animal and be an animal. They're like, oh, you should really wear gym attire. That's great, bro. Everybody that's telling me that is, oh yeah, weaker than me. Huh? Like, I don't like, you're telling me to wear these clothes. You're so concerned with gym attire. You don't even understand stop worrying about what gear you need to be doing and start worrying about like how you should be training, you know, and not, hey, look at my sweet brand of my knee wraps, bro. And my this and my that. Like, I get it. If you really need that stuff, that's fine. That's cool. But don't tell me I need it. Like, that's not how I train. I'm not going to have that stuff in the real world.
Yeah. Like me, like the gym, well, the few gyms that I've been to here in where I live, like the reason why they wouldn't let you wear jeans is that because it rubs against the like it might damage the seats and all that. But you know, every gym is different, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, mine like they look like jeans, but they're mostly like they're like a spandex material, so they're a little bit softer.
Yeah, they're a little bit stretchy, and you know they don't have like buttons coming out in the back, and that's gonna rip the seats to shreds or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, too, it's like at a gym, like people are like, oh, don't destroy the gym equipment. It's like, I'm there to work out. Like, people are like, you have way too much weight on the bar. You're going to bend it. Well, get me a new bar. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to push it.
That's just silly. You like, you know, like you lift what you need to lift, you know?
Yeah, I'm here to push my limits, not to worry about the equipment. Like but I'm super respectful. Like I put all my weights away and stuff, but so.
Yeah. Hey, you know, like the whole taking, like the reason why I asked, like why do you take off your shirt and all that? Is because I remember like I was in gangs when I was younger. Like I think from the age of maybe 16 to about 19 or 20. And there was this other gang, and we kind of knew each other, and we kind of worked for like the same guy, so to speak. So these guys, when they got into fights, and we were like, it happened once. It was my crew, their crew, and another crew, and then both our crews were fighting another crew, and then like it was in a bar. So chairs started flying, bottles, of course, you know, machetes started getting pulled out, and all these guys took off their shirts from that crew. And one of the reasons why they took off their shirts is because so they could identify each other. So they don't hack the wrong guy with the machete.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Like, so most of my crew, like we went to like a lot of punk shows, right? So punk rockers, the way they settle their beef, like two crews, is they're like, we'll see you guys in the pit. And it'll be a 10-on-10 brawl. And most of the time they have patches and stuff, but they also have like metal, like on their jackets, like battle armor. Like you've seen what punk rockers wear, like, you know? So for us, like when we took off our shirts, it was like a sign of like, we're not afraid of your armor. We went in there like bashing our elbows against metal and leather jackets. And like, dude, we'd clear out pits. We just maul guys. Like, you know, we were the last dude standing. Like it's like a sense of, too, like if you have like, again, going back to jacked physique and you take off your shirt, people are like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. Instantly, like that guy looks like he's been training for this, you know, like this might be a bad idea, you know, and you instantly gain that little mental edge. It can matter. It can matter. So like Conor McGregor, the reason he's so good at talking crap is he got in people's heads. Mike Tyson got in people's heads. Muhammad Ali got in people's heads. Khabib, even with his silence and his seriousness, got in people's heads. The guys that get in people's heads are the ones that gain the mental advantage over everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So if I look intimidating with a certain look, a certain way I dress, whatever, there's a reason for that. It's like, you know, a lion having its mane, you know, or a peacock having its feathers, or an eagle having its talons, or cobras even have the eyes, right, on their little fins that come out over their head to scare off predators, right? Or wolves will show their teeth before they bite. So there's this psychological factor that plays in instantly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's there that you want to capitalize on instantaneously. You know, a lot of guys yell. I get real quiet. I get really quiet until I'm hitting you. Like I used to yell and say all these words. I don't want anyone to know what I'm thinking. I'll be dead silent. get in my personal bubble and make me feel threatened, and you'll find out real quick what's going to happen. And then I just instantly, I don't even, there's no middle ground. If you get me to the point where I feel like I'm threatened and I'm in danger, I'm not pulling punches. I'm going for like the worst as fast as I can.
Yeah, and I think that comes back to like having the proper mindset for self-defense, right? Which is something that I wanted to talk about because, like, did you watch that video that I sent you? Because I know you don't have Twitter, but I don't know if you do.
No, I don't think that you're talking about the one that was
in Australia, in Brisbane. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So what happened a couple of days ago? Some guy posted it on Twitter. And Andrea, like a guy that I had a podcast with, he sent that to me. And then, okay, I go check it out. And man, okay, so it was these two group of guys. They were in a mall. And, you know, one of them was, and obviously they were beefing, they were screaming at each other. Then one of them walks up to like,
oh, yeah. I remember this.
He has his hands down and he's like moving like this, moving like that. But the other guy pulls out a blade. And the other guy keeps walking, but he's moving. So the other guy takes a jab at him and all that, but the other guy moves back. So then they keep on backing up. Like the guy with the knife who pulled the knife and his crew kept on backing up. And then a big dude from the other crew saw his, like, decided to walk straight up to the guy with the blade, hands down, just walking up to him like that in a straight line, just walking with his arms down like that. And the guy just grabbed his throat. Pop. And next thing you know, like you see everyone, like his friends keep on going after the guy with the blade and his friends, and then we don't see them anymore. We don't know what happened. But then the guy who was filming it had his camera on the guy who got stabbed. And then so he stopped once he got poked there in the throat. And then he bled out. It started gushing. And next thing you know, there was blood all over. It was a bloodbath. And the guy just fell and died. And of course, you look at it in the comment section and you're like, holy, like people, some people were like really butthurt about that. They were like, why would you post this? Blah, blah, blah. This is horrific. And, you know, and
that's reality though. Like,
yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like, to be honest, I didn't find that like brutal or horrific. Horrific would be like somebody bashing your skull in and we'd be filming.
Yeah.
See like pieces of bone and eyeballs coming out. That would be horrific, you know, or having somebody getting their head sawed off and you would be like up close. But like somebody who just like holding it. But, you know, so I want to get your take on that. Like, I know you didn't see the video, but from what I just described, I mean, my take on it is like, well, first of all, if a guy pulls out a knife, you should kind of get a weapon.
Yeah. So
you know, it's like, you know how people say like, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, don't bring your empty hands to a knife. That's just me.
So when it comes to weapons, you know, there's two types of people that pull weapons, and either one of them is dangerous. Could be somebody that's afraid and doesn't know how to fight, and they're going to attack you like a scared individual, and they're just not going to know what they're going to do. A knife is still dangerous. Or there's somebody who pulls it out, doesn't even want you to see it, and all you do is feel it. You just feel the blade, and that's it for you, right? So if somebody pulls a blade on you and you're planning on fighting them, first thing you do is look for a weapon. That's bottom line. Like, I tell people are like, oh, you're a big guy. Like, well, I'll fight like a little guy. I don't care what it is. I'll use a knife. I'll use a gun. I'll use a freaking. It doesn't matter. It does not matter to me. I have no quarrels. If that's what. Hey, you think just because I'm big and strong doesn't mean I won't fight dirty? That's another thing. People are like, oh, that guy must just. That's all he's going to rely on. Like, no, no, it's not. Not whatsoever.
Yeah, that would be a huge mistake. Huge mistake to like be. Oh, I'm big and strong, so I'm not
bulletproof. Like, I'm not. You know, I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. You know,
John Jones back again. Like we talked about John Jones.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to like that type of stuff, the one thing I will say is strength and size, even in armed combat, plays a role. Simple as that. People are like, oh, well, I just carry a gun or I carry a knife or this and that. Great. If you get in a sword fight with a guy that has a stronger swing than you and can knock your sword out of your hands, or you get a grappling match and you both have blades and he can overpower you and stick you, or guess what? You're carrying guns and And Rambo over here, you know, is able to carry a mini gun with 200 rounds, and you can barely pick up a M14 with your scrawny little arms. And I can run faster than you. I can take the high ground faster than you, and I can carry body armor on top of all that because I'm a physical freaking freak of nature. Guess what? I'm gonna have the advantage. No way you put it, doesn't matter. So that's what I'm saying. Your body, your physicality is your ultimate defense. It doesn't matter in what type of form of combat it is. If I can carry more gear than you, like you ever play the Legend of Zelda video games? Is it like, imagine how strong. Okay, so there's this main protagonist. His name's Link, right? He's got a sword. He's got shields.
Yeah, I know Zelda. I know Zelda. I played it a little bit, you know.
You ever think about how strong that guy must have had to been to carry all that freaking crap on him? You know what I'm saying? Like he would have. Dude, if he was weak, he wouldn't be able to carry all that weight. He'd be like, nah, man, I need to shed these bombs, leave the shield over here, the sword, ditch that. You know, the dude's out there saving all these kingdoms. And I always thought about that. I was like, man, strength is super important no matter which way you look at it. So
yeah, and you know, a funny thing you talk about that, like carrying a whole bunch of stuff and being strong enough and robust enough to like walk around with all that stuff. Like you know, it's like Jocko Willings talks about this in one of his videos on his podcast. He was saying how, you know, like it's important to be, because, you know, high level athletes or combat athletes, whatever, they're kind of like pampered a little bit. You know, they train, they rest, they take care of their injuries and all that. But
it's totally different than survival.
Exactly. It's completely different, right? Whereas like in the military, he was explaining how you like being able to carry like 100 pounds on your back for like, and walk for about, you know, 5-6 hours or something crazy like that. Like it's more important to be robust.
Yes.
You don't have to be like a Ferrari, but only works like, you know, 2 times a week. You need more.
Like that's like people talk about like cutting weight and stuff. You've cut weight. I've cut weight. I know it's like, dude, at 205, I'm shredded. I'm a lean, mean, death deal machine. But guess what? At 250, I have more fat on me and I can survive in a survival situation longer because I'm not going to get dehydrated. I'm not going to. So like an ideal athlete is between like 12 and 16% body fat or something like that, you know?
Yeah. And the funny thing is that we were talking about that, me and my buddy, and he's like, he's into long distance stuff and being robust and training in martial arts and all that. And so it's good to train sport where like, yeah, you're training sport because it allows you to practice in a safe environment and not like take too much damage, at least permanent damage, right? But you still want to be robust. So something he was telling me is that like, if you're able, I think it's called rucking or ruckus. You know, when you walk around with a heavy backpack for hours on end.
Okay. Right? Hiking?
Yeah, but it's more than hiking in the sense that like you have to be able to do it for like a day or two, you know. And he was like saying what we should do is that we should get a bug out bag. Call it a bug out bag. It's a survival term, I think.
Yeah.
And what it means is that you prep a bag and it's gonna weigh like 60 to 100 pounds, like let's say 60 pounds, right?
To go in the middle of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah, so that like if ever something happens and you gotta go, like you gotta pick up and go now, like there's no time, you know. And so what you do is one thing that he was so you already have to have practiced that to be able to do it. You have to be conditioned for it because no way you're walking for 20 hours straight if you never done it, or 10 hours for that matter with a 60-pound backpack. You're not gonna your feet aren't gonna hold up. You're gonna have blisters. You're gonna start crying and you know all that stuff. So he's like, once in a while, like you should be like, you have to practice that to be able to do it, you know, to a certain extent. And he was saying like one thing that, that's part of a bug out bag is amphetamines.
Yeah.
If ever you need to walk for like 2 days without sleep, because you got to get the hell out of there, or you got to go somewhere and like take care of business, you grab your bag, clap. You go, and then you get there.
That's what the like people don't realize. That's why the Nazis in World War II Germany, I learned all about it. Amphetamines and performance enhancing drugs were used by the Nazis a lot, you know. So hey, I got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, yeah. So let's use this time to like I'm gonna let like so you could shout yourself out. Like, where do people find you? You know, on social media. Where could they reach you to, you know, like if they want to train with you, because you're a trainer now as well, right?
Yes.
And you have other businesses. So like, yeah, Let the
Yeah,
people know.
so if you guys like martial arts content on any type, I do tutorials on my YouTube channel. I do like strength feats of strength. I give some advice. You can find me at Red Chucks, all uppercase, RED space CHUCKS. You'll find a picture of me, and then on Instagram I'm at Red Chucks one. I'm working. I got for any martial artists. Like if you guys can't meet with me, not everybody can meet with me, obviously. I do online courses. And I call them built to brawl programs. So built to brawl program is like, hey, I'm a wrestler. What would be the most ideal type of lifting for wrestling? Or hey, I'm a kickboxer. And because, like I said before, my whole lifting system is based off of being a better martial artist, being a better fighter, being a better soldier, whatever that is. So if you guys are interested in that, you can hit me up there. I got plenty of free stuff. I'm always trying to help people on like just get better at whatever they're doing. Like, you know, I've been studying martial arts for about 25 years, on and off. I've done everything from judo, jiu-jitsu. I trained under Gracie lineage, done Muay Thai. I got a black belt in Kukwan Taekwondo. Yeah, I've been in and out of gyms with some really, really good people. I'm all about, like I said, application, being applicable to whatever you're doing. If you guys want to learn more about Relentless Style, I got tons of stuff on there. Conditioning, types of stuff you should be eating, all that good stuff. Like I said, Red Chucks on YouTube, and then Red Chucks one on Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I got yeah. If you guys are interested in training with me, just hit me up and let me know.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, no, you guys should definitely like check them out. And what I really like about you too is that you're a really nice guy. But when you
I try
watch
to
your
be.
videos, I get intimidated. I'm like, holy crap, this guy could snap me in half. I hope
Well,
he's
I tell
nice.
here.
Then when we started talking, I'm like, wow, this guy's really awesome. And also like when I saw you on the podcast with Ramsey, I was like, yeah, you are. You're like,
Yeah,
obviously you're a bad mofo, right?
yeah.
And but you're a very good human being, man. And
I
I'm
love.
really happy that we communicated and that you took the time to finally do this. I mean,
Yeah,
not finally, but we finally
yeah.
got to do this. And
We both been busy just playing tag back and forth. Here's what I always tell people about being nice, right? It's good to be nice to people. It's good to be nice. It's good to help people. It's good, all that stuff. But love is nothing without power, right? You could be the most loving father, loving husband, right? Somebody comes, breaks into your house and wants to kill your children and kill your wife. If you
mhm,
don't have power, your love amounts to nothing, right?
mhm.
So I'm one of the reasons I hate the internet, I talk crap to people on the internet in my comment section all the time. All the time. You know why?
Yeah,
Because
I noticed that.
people don't say that crap to me in real life, because people that actually know me, that train with me, that have like been around me and see what I can do, they're like, oh wow, Jordan's like super legit. But
Mhm.
I'm super nice. Like I don't but if you're gonna talk crap, you're gonna be some little keyboard warrior sitting in mommy's basement thinking you're super tough because your daddy wasn't around to beat your ass. Sorry, I don't tolerate that nonsense. Like, if you don't like me, dude, there's a million other channels you could follow. Like, you don't have to follow me. I'll just block you, especially if you're gonna hide behind the computer and just like, no, blocked. You're not worth my time, and you're gonna miss out on a bunch of great information.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm all about helping people, dude, and I'm all about being a good person to good people. And when you got to be an asshole to bad people, because bad people need to be taught a lesson. I always tell people, if you let a bad person be bad to you and you could have stopped them and they continue on being bad because there's no repercussions for their actions,
Mhm.
you're not loving the people that you love. Because what if that person hurts somebody you love? Or what if that person hurts somebody else? Right?
Mhm.
So disciplining people for their negative actions, putting people in check, right? That is a form of love, because people need to know that they can't get away with that type of stuff. I'll tell you a story about my two younger brothers real quick before we end this.
Mhm.
So my two younger brothers, both loudmouths, man, total loudmouths. Can't fight for piss. Like couldn't yeah, like they just can't. They don't have the ability. They're soft, right? And but they were raised by my mom, right? Mostly, predominantly. My parents split up when I was younger. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And these stinking kids, man, got the biggest mouths on them, right? And I always wanted to, I'd smack them. all the time when I was younger. Just like, you little pow, right? My mom like, don't hit him, don't hit him. You know, my mom was always like, I'm going to put you in juvie again. I'm going to throw you in juvenile hall again. And I told my mom, I was like, you wait, Mom. I'm like, one of these days, it's not going to be me. They're going to mouth off to the wrong person. I'm trying to teach them a lesson now because my dad wasn't around and my stepdad wasn't allowed to discipline him at all because, you know, child protective services, whatever, right? So I told him I loved my stepdad because he took care of us. So I would beat my little brothers literally for my stepdad. Like, oh, you got to talk back to him. Whack, you know? And so, but they got this idea they could just run their mouth and people would protect them all the time. They were down in Los Angeles thinking they were big old Billy badasses, getting all drunk on wherever they were, mouthed off to the wrong guys. Both of them got the living piss kicked out of them and ended up in the hospital, bleeding from their faces, split, all that crap. My mom calls me. She says, Jordan, your little brother got jumped. Can you come see him? And I says, Mom, do you remember what I told you? I said, these are the repercussions for not disciplining your children. So this goes for all you parents out there watching it. If you have a little shithead kid, there's assholes like me that will punch him in the mouth when he grows up. Just saying, learn to discipline your kids, because if you really cherish your children's life and you really cherish their well-being, teach them a sense of discipline. I teach my children discipline. I teach them, hey, be respectful of people. If there's a bad guy, obviously take care of the bad guy. But if there isn't a bad guy, like, learn to be nice to people, like learn to treat people with respect, honor people. Like, I'm all about that stuff because you should give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, once they've broken that, all right, I get it. Do whatever you got to do. But yeah, man, there's a serious lack of discipline in the world these days. Like, it disgusts me. It disgusts me.
There you have it, everyone. You gotta discipline your kids before it's better it comes from you than from, you know, the streets, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why I'm telling people, like, true love is teaching people right from wrong and teaching them a set of moral values. Like, all these parents are like, oh, my kid can choose to be whatever they want or do whatever they want. They're too young to be doing any of that stuff. Like, I don't care what your choices in life are. They're a child and they need guidance. I needed guidance even into my 20s. And you're telling me a 3-year-old can decide what is nutritionally valuable for them. Like, you're a bad parent. You should not have kids. Like, your genetic pool should have ended with you. Sorry. Like, I don't get it. Oh, man.
That was awesome, man. Hey, it was really great having you on the podcast, man.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'm glad you stayed longer than we.
Well, I gotta show love to all the OGs out there. All the OGs.
Man. Awesome.
They're all part of. If you're part of the OGs, you're part of the Dudes of Destruction. There's an alliance that's been formed now. Nobody mess with you, all right? I will come to Canada. I will find you.
Awesome, man. All right, thanks a lot, Jordan. I'm gonna let you go. Brother. I know you gotta go, but yeah, we'll talk, man.
Thanks.
Peace. There you have it, guys. That was longer than expected and a very, very pleasant surprise. I was really happy about that. Let me see here. Oh, no, nothing pressing. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And well, if you didn't get a chance to catch it live, then you're probably catching it on the replay here. So, of course, don't forget to like that little banner there at the bottom. It says, like, comment, subscribe, share, of course, and, helps the channel grow. So, of course, it's very much appreciated. Thank you, everyone who showed up live and who's going to watch this on the replay. Well, I'm going to chop it up because, I mean, it's like a 2-hour podcast we did, man. So that was amazing. Go check them out, guys. Red Chucks on YouTube. And if you check them out on IG, it's Red Chucks 1. But you can't miss him. I mean, it's the big jack guy who looks like Wolverine with a beard. So it is what it is. All right, guys. Have a good night. See you next Thursday at 9:00 again. If I have a guest, I'll announce it, but it'll be live stream. And if I don't have a guest, then I'll do something else. I'll chit chat about. I'll analyze some videos, get some stuff ready for you. But I'll let you know what's up beforehand. So that's that. I'm gonna try and adjust the things so that when I'm looking here, you guys are, because I was looking at Jordan the whole time. It's just that the way the screen is set up, then I end up looking here, and then he thinks I'm looking down, but I'm actually looking at him, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so you see, if I'm looking at the camera, it's here. Anyways, not that it really matters, but it was a really good time, and I'm happy that we solved the problem, because at the beginning of it, like, we couldn't really connect because Jordan was on his phone, and normally it's easier on computer, but then on the phone it gets a little bit complicated sometimes. So I hope you guys enjoyed all of that amazing conversation. I had a good time, and yeah, we touched on pretty much everything I wanted to touch on, except maybe one or two things. But I mean, it was good. I really enjoyed that. So I'll see you guys next week. Peace.